Hi, everybody. Thanks for listening. Here we have Handsome coming to us from Sydney, which is on Gadigal country. Welcome, Handsome. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. What have you been up to today?
I've just been we're launching my new project on the 10th of June in Sydney. And it's the first headline show I've done in a while. So I've just been prepping the show. I've got a rehearsal for the first time with a sort of movement dance element to the show. So I'm just getting it ready to make sure that we've got something cool to rehearse with tomorrow.
Cool. Well, tell us more about that.
So the new project is obviously, it's quite film based. It's an EP, there's 5 tracks on there, and 3 of the songs I made a sort of short film with the narrative arc through the 3 of the songs. Mm-hmm. I guess one of the people that I met on crew, who was the first AD on the film, Audley Anderson, I soon learned while we were on set with them that they were an incredible dancer and amazing performer. So we decided to sort of collaborate on the launch of the EP and the film by bringing it all together. So the performance will kind of be me singing and performing with my DJ Boogie Witch, and then we've got an element of dance and movement, and we're also going to play the film at the same time. So it's a very audio visual experience.
Fantastic. That's amazing. That's I was going to talk about that. I was actually going to bring that up a bit later, but is that something you always like to encompass? I know you said this is a new project, but is it something that you always like to encompass, like you've had the previous singles I'd like to mention a bit later, but you sort of release the video and in parts as well? So have you always had that idea?
I think I've always written music sort of cinematically, or like having visual in mind. Not that I wrote any of the songs on this new EP to make it sound like a cowboy film from the desert, which is what the film turned into. But more so I've always had an infatuation with soundtrack and cinema and the way that music enhances that emotion. Film clips and music videos and all of those things, visual identity has always been a massive part of Handsome as a project. So it's cool to kind of bring all of those elements together and, make it really dramatic and fantastical as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is it because you had training in that, or why is it that you have that like preferred aspect of the experience?
I mean, I went to uni and I studied music in film, but that was only a small element to what I studied. And I think I've just always, one of my first jobs was working in a video store, and I've kind of always had a passion for film. So I've always just loved the way that music and sound inform and completely change a visual experience. And I think it goes sort of vice versa. I think a lot of the time somebody will listen to a piece of music or a song or whatever, and they'll draw their own visual conclusions, especially about the time in their life that they hear it. You're going through a breakup and you'll listen to a song and be like, that song's written about my breakup. Everyone kind of, everyone informs it by their own lifestyle or whatever's happening in their life. But I think at the same time, like when you hear a piece of music and then you watch a visual experience that the creator has brought to the table, it really makes the experience of listening really visceral, and I just love that so much. It's a real privilege, I think, as an art maker, to be able to make a piece of music and then also make a piece of visual art at the same time. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah. I actually talked to Mulholland. Have you heard of her? Grace Mulholland.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I talked to her recently, and she said she feels like there needs to be characters. So the same thing with her. She had to choose between, well, she didn't really like acting as much as being a musician, so she kind of has made them talk like different aspects of her music. So when you watch a video clip, it's sort of it's got a storyline and a character.
Yeah, that's cool.
That sort of thing.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that you do that. And it's sort of, do you feel that I guess the music you make fits in with having that cinematic element too? So I guess I'll ask you, how would you describe your music?
I don't know. Like I've always given it a tagline of tomboy pop, because I feel like it's indie pop, or it's like alternative music, but because gender expression and like queer identity has such a massive role in the music and the culture, I think tomboy suits it. And it's obviously a completely like made up genre, but it's very electronic, and it's very dramatic. I think like it's drama pop through and through. I've got like my ultimate, references in music is like the XX or Robin, or that kind of queeroic pop music, like soaring melodies and really dramatic builds, etc. So yeah, I guess that's kind of how I would describe it.
Awesome. That's great. And I love queeroic. Can you say it for me again?
Queeroic.
I love it. I've never heard of that word before. It's great.
I feel like I made it up, but I've never read it. But it's kind of a way that we've been using like a word we've been using to describe the project slightly.
Great.
Just make stuff up. You know what I mean? Like, who cares? Who cares to be pushed into a genre box? Just make up your own words, and it's all good.
Yeah. I'm a vegetarian who likes to eat lamb every now and again.
Okay.
So I call myself a flexitarian.
Nice. Perfect. I also love lamb. So
yeah. It's just so nice when it's like that slow cooked, just coming off the bone in an Indian curry.
It's really good. All your vegetarian listeners are like, oh my God.
What are you doing, killing animals? What are you doing? And to the vegans out there, I just can't live without cheese. How about you?
Fully. No, yeah. Cheese is a hero food.
Mm-hmm. And yes, sorry, not sorry. So I guess you've had 2 singles up until this point, but as you said, all effort going towards the next little while. So did you say, when is the EP landing?
It comes out next Friday.
How exciting.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's fantastic. That'll work in with so next Friday is probably about when the episode will come out. So
cool. So technically, the EP is out today.
Yeah.
go and listen to it. It is a masterpiece.
Great. Where can we find it? Are you selling it on like
Everywhere.
vinyl? Yeah.
No, we're not selling it online? On vinyl. Here's the thing about vinyl. Firstly, during COVID, to get a vinyl printed, it takes about 16 weeks, which is about 4 months. And it just costs so much money. So it's only digital this time around, but I would really love to put it on physical at some point.
Cool.
Yeah.
I did hear that there was a vinyl shortage in COVID.
Yeah, it's a vinyl delay, I think. Like there's not many pressing plants anymore after COVID. So yeah, it's a bummer.
That's a shame.
It is.
There's nothing like vinyl.
It's just amazing.
Yeah. It's an experience too.
Fully.
All right. And then you're hitting, so where will you be touring? Where can we expect shows? Sorry.
Well, I'm only doing Sydney at the moment because we're doing it for Vivid Festival. So that's kind of the first thing. And I guess what we're hoping to do is just see how the EP lands, and also, you know, just watching the way that shows are rolling out at the moment. Like COVID's a little bit, there's still a backlog. But yeah, I'd love to take it obviously to major cities in Australia towards the more of the middle or the end of the year, and see what we can do and who we can hit and how we can impact people. That would be the main thing. Yeah.
Love it. And as you said, with the tomboy pop definition, there's you like to represent a sort of queer, I get politics identity in your music. So how do you identify, Handsome?
So I identify as a lesbian and as a queer person super proudly, especially I guess the tag of lesbian, because I feel like it is not something that a lot of people identify with these days. I think queer folk prefer a wider terminology, which is queer. Yeah, and she, her as well, which is an interesting one, and interesting that you ask, because a lot of people, I think, assume that I am non-binary or trans because of using the word handsome as my name, which is really funny because, you know, any lady can be handsome. But I think, I don't know, I think it's a perfectly innocent mistake. I just think a lot of the time people assume, which is quite funny.
Yes.
What about you?
Place.
How do you identify?
Well, I'm a she, her too.
Right on.
But yes, I do sleep with the male kind only.
Fair enough.
And so in your music, I especially with the past two singles, you can sort of how about you explain it, how your life and gender identity sort of comes up in your music?
Well, I guess like the EP kind of the crux of the concept for the EP kind of came from the title track, which is called Blame, which came out in April. And I wrote it about a interesting experience I had with Handsome. We were, like, my live band and I were at a festival at Threadbow, which is a pretty like notorious hetero space, which was fine. We played a show, it was really good, but I was also there with a bunch of sort of queer musicians, and we all had dinner together on this like really long table in one of the restaurants, and we're all having the best time. And there was like a bunch of people there who I revere hugely in our community, and I felt really privileged and it was amazing to be surrounded by all these people, like Paul Mack was there, and Betty Grumble and Brenda McLean, and all these people that really make the Sydney queer community a powerhouse space. And then while we were sitting there was this guy who was sitting by himself. He was probably maybe late 50s, and he continued to sink bottles of wine while we sat near him. And as he got drunker and drunker, he became more and more volatile towards us. And I think the thing that really fascinated me was he was equally acting as if he was disgusted, but he was so intrigued. He couldn't look away. He kept sort of, and it was really funny. I was just like, dude, why are you so affected by us? There must be something inside you which is equal parts fascination and equal parts shame. And your shame is not something that we deserve. It's really not something that we deserve to carry. And as the night sort of trickled on, there was this growing feeling of aggressiveness and violence, I think, especially amongst my peers. And that felt weird to me, because I think as a queer person, I've always felt quite safe. But I've never had the experience of a trans person or as a drag queen. And I think that's something that's a fear that exists much more on a day-to-day level. And it was a good insight for me into trying to understand that experience, but also, the whole thing left me pretty affected. So I wrote that song about that, which is the lyric, you can blame me if you want, put your injustice on us. It's basically saying, queer people, I think for a very long time have carried other people's shame, and we've found a way to be resilient with that. And I think that's a real piece of armor that a lot of people don't have and they don't carry. And so it gives us this strange and beautiful superpower of being able to deflect terrible behavior instead of, carrying or ingesting it. I think a lot of the time we just deflect it and laugh it off. And we have the ability to do that because we've been doing it for so long. And so being able to take something nasty and turn it into resilience is not something that everyone can do. And I think that's really amazing part of the queer community.
Yeah, absolutely. I do see it. I see it with queer friends, and like you say, the fact that it's happened for so long, it's sort of, you have to put yourself between I guess people's long held opinions, and as you say as well, being a bit scared and yourself, and with your perspective, having that perspective. It's a really fascinating thing. But I think even taking it out of the queer community entirely, you think about all the ways that people push shame on people, and it could be racism, it could be ageism, it could be any of those things. And the funniest thing, when you whittle down shame and fear and blame, the funniest thing is it's well, that's your fucking problem. It's not mine. And I think if you have the ability to dismantle that in the moment, it makes you one of the most powerful people in the world. Yeah. Sort of giving yourself a high five inside.
Fully, absolutely.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you were able to stand up, and hopefully that person came away too, if they can actually remember it after all that wine.
I don't think so, no. We ended up having him moved. We asked the staff to move him, and then throughout the night, as we were sort of leaving our table to go to the bathroom and stuff, he was sort of whispering shit to us as we're walking past, and I was like, stop, it's over, get over it. But he was extremely affected, and I was, there's a lyric in there that's like, you might do well to cover up the pantyhose you tried on, because it's this idea that's like, you're fascinated about something, you've had an experience in your life that was probably pretty homoerotic, and you feel a lot of shame about it, and so you're blaming it on us. And that really sucks for him. I hope that he woke up and remembered some of it, and maybe battled his own demons slightly.
Yes,
we'll see.
I hope so too. Because yes, and it's a message not just for him, but everybody. Like you say, it's something that happens a lot, and to a diverse amount of people in this lovely world and one big community. So it happens,
of course,
and it can be an anthem, like you say.
Absolutely,
for other people experience that sort of shaming, toxic shaming.
Fully.
Well, and do you have any sort of goals, or what is there a mission behind keeping all the lyrics sort of personally based, or about?
I guess, I don't know, like I think that listening, like people that love music, or communities that get behind music, in any form or any size, really connect and reflect on authenticity. And I think you can hear it when somebody is, trying to share something about themselves, which is so raw. And so I think with lyricism and making it personal, I think you're in a better position to impact someone, even if they make the lyrics reflect their own experiences. And so, yeah, I mean, I think the goal with that, in any sense, in any way of making music, is just to impact people and to make them think about things, and to make them think about their life and their behavior and other people's around them. I mean, that's the whole reason that I think anybody makes art, right? Is
I hope so.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a very mature way of looking at it. So, I mean, I don't know about you, but when you listen to lyrics and you actually listen to what people are saying, not just like the chorus or something like that, and sort of think about the message, I feel that's where the artist would want you to go.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I think like lyrics is one thing, and then the music is another. And, I like the idea of making drama pop because I want people to listen to the lyrics, but I also want them to dance. And I think, or move or something, like the same way that music has and sound has the ability to impact the way that you watch a film. The beat or the musicality of what you're listening to the lyrics in will completely change the way that it impacts you. And I love the idea of crying and dancing. It's one of the most beautiful things in the world. And I think people should do it on the daily or the weekly, because I think it's, like if a terrible thing happens to you or you feel sad, one of the best ways to make it better is to dance.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take it and go the opposite.
Go deeply in.
Yeah. So, I was going to ask about how do you put it together with your DJ, and how do you approach the musicology side of things?
The production, do you mean? Like the writing process? I guess, so I produce all the music, like all the beats and things like that. And it just depends. It's always different with every song. Like you might think of a sentiment and think that it's strong enough to write about, on a lyrical level. you might, come up with something that feels really good to listen to on a music level, and then want to do something with the, address lyrics around that.
Sorry.
It's okay. There's a plane going overhead, so it's probably your alarm is telling you that somebody's arriving on the aeroplane.
That's it.
So every song is really different. Like it's and I think it's always different for everybody. I don't think anyone has a process that's just like, oh, I just do this and this and this.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just start with chords. I don't understand how you do that, but that's just me.
Well, as you say, each their own. And you produce a beautiful product. And
thank you.
And the video to blame is amazing. So
thank you.
I'm glad you mentioned that. And now you've talked about the cinematography part, I can really see it in that video clip. And Vivid are lucky to have you. So
thank you.
Vivid, I could just live in Darling Harbour, just pull up a seat, sit there, go to all the different places.
Pitch a tent, for that month.
Yeah.
Pitch a tent in Hyde Park. That would be amazing.
Yeah. And I wouldn't look out of place.
No. Just put some lights on the tent and you would feel like you'd be just a part of it. I reckon do it. I reckon do it for sure.
I reckon if we may get a few people, what if we got like a Her Story gathering in Hyde Park?
And then you can do podcasts as people walk past.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. Sounds awesome. I'll let work know, and
I'll see you there.
See me there. I did want to say, I don't know if you noticed, but it's Pride Month this month.
I did notice, yeah.
Yeah. So what a month to be releasing your EP.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of fell, ideally in the right spot, I think. And I am hoping that because it's an EP that I want people to feel impacted in those certain ways, that maybe that will, it'll just land at the right time for those kind of emotions. But yeah, I mean, Pride starts in, I guess, Wednesday next week. So in a week or 6 days. Yeah. Which is cool. It's exciting.
Yeah, I think it was just a perfect coincidence, I guess we could say.
What a beautiful coincidence.
Yeah, so I'm glad to hear that the EP is out now. We can get it digitally, possibly in vinyl. Do you have any merch to share?
Well, we're selling merch at the show, and if there's sorry, that was my dog. We're selling merch at the show, so if there's any left over, we'll put it online, but I'm hoping it all just goes out the door. But I mean, I love merch, and I want to make sure that there's merch all the time.
Yeah,
it's important.
And anything else to plug, Handsome?
I mean, I think one thing that's super important to me is that people listen to the music and also watch the film. I think a lot of people feel, what I've seen. I think that a lot of people are so wowed by the film that the music may be secondary, and I really, in a pluggy way, I think you should listen to the music at some point separately and then watch the film, and both of them kind of exist for different reasons, so definitely do both at different times.
And what would you recommend people be doing while listening to your music? Should they be driving, gardening? What's a hot tip?
I mean, I garden a lot, and I don't think that's the vibe, but that's just me. Probably like driving, most definitely. When I drive and listen to my own music, though, I become really speedy or jolty, so it's probably not the best thing for me. But yeah, I think like dancing, hanging out with friends, being by yourself, probably going for a walk is, you know, when you're feeling affected by something, and yeah, and definitely yeah, with friends, I think it's definitely not it's not background music, that's for damn sure.
Okay. So now we've got 5 minutes left. I just would like to get a request from you, without any notice. A request we can play on Her Story podcast.
A request of a song?
Yeah.
Of somebody else's?
Yeah.
Oh my God, huge. I think you should play a new song that came out like last week called Heart Guitar by Mole Rap.
Awesome. Shall do.
It's really good. You'll love it.
Oh, I love Mole Rap too. So, yes, it'll be on next. Thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
No worries. Enjoy Vivid, and I look forward to hearing more.
Sweet. Nice to speak to you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.